Okay, so hello everyone. This talk is about how to scale up implementations in small and medium business. Strange presentation during OCA. Usually they are more technical stuff. First, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Gonzalo Ruzafa. I work in Adhoc. We have been implementing Odoo for I think 10 years, a bit more. We have a model that it's a bit different than most of the people involved in the OCA. We don't work with very big companies. We have big companies, but not a lot. And we do a lot of implementations a month. Now we are currently implementing like 8 new projects a month. And we support, migrate, and host the operation of like 230 database currently. And why are we giving this talk, and why do we think that it's important? Big customers require more senior consultants and developers, and we are in a world that competition is pretty aggressive on the HR market. So it's getting more and more difficult to get senior people in order to take complex projects. The other reason is like 99, I found these statistics, I didn't need it. 99% of the business, for example, in the US are small and medium business, so it's a huge market. They talk a lot in other talks about recurring revenue as one of the most important things in company to be able to be sustainable in time. SMBs are recurring revenue builders. Usually they implement faster and they become recurring revenue builders in short time. They're faster to deploy. That's it's one of the main points. They lower the risk because you are able to diversify your customer revenue base, so you're not depending on renewing a contract to provide life to your company, right? That's an important thing. Of course, it has downsides. I'm talking about the advantages. And why this talk? If we increase our market impact, we will have more resources to contribute in OCA. We need more developers, more functional stuff, so we need to grow the business. So this talk is aiming to give some tips, and hopefully you will take some in order to be able to start working in this market if you're not, right? So I don't know why, but yeah. The keywords when working with SMBs, you cannot like have a senior consultant that is working his way out. No matter what you throw at him, he will work it out. When you're not working with a senior consultant, you need to standardize. You need to have some guidelines in order to guide the person through the process in order to get to a good port without like being the top project manager. So you need to standardize, and we use a lot the word Kaizen. It's a word based in the Japanese language. It's continuous improvement. You need to get to that process. It's not like you can design it and work it out. It's like you need to continuously try to improve it based on what it happens and what you need and stuff. So we are always like defining a process and changing it all the time. It's never perfect. That's the fun part of it. Okay, and what I think one of the most important things to take into account is when you are working with SMBs, the marketing and the sales departments take a huge role in the process, right? I like to say that marketing and sales are part of the operations department. Usually when people talk about sales department, it's people that talk a lot and try to sell you things, right? I like to think about them as people that try to analyze the customer, to try to analyze the market, and try to say, okay, this is a good fit to our company, and we are going to be able to provide value to these customers. At the end of the movie, we want to provide value to the customers. That's why we are here. We do it by code, by function, whatever, but that's the main goal, right? So we work a lot in the marketing and sales department. Sometimes you feel like you are wasting your time because maybe you have a 5% conversion rate. When you're working with SMBs, your conversion rate is going to be low because you're going to be able to filter fast and to try to analyze a customer in a short amount of time and to say a prospect and to decide if it's a fit or not. we have been changing our way of taking this approach, but nowadays we work a lot with AdWords, with organic search. We use a lot of Sales Navigator now based on LinkedIn. And why is that? I'm going to explain a bit more later, but it's really important to find the best fit. And if you want to find the best fit, that it's not going to be able to invest a lot of hours in development. You'll need to find a certain business that you are going to be able to provide value with the things that you have and minimal customization, right? So we work a lot in marketing to find these prospects. We work a lot in the sales departments to make demos that make us, we always say that the demo is more important for us than for the customer. During the demo, we try to analyze if the customer, it's a fit for our proposal, right? And if we find during the demo that there are some questions that we see that they are going to be blockers during the process, we say, okay, let's not move forward. We are not going to be able to deliver value to you. And what we want is to deliver value. If we deliver value, we can charge it, we can get money to get more resources to provide more value to other customers. That's our goal. So everything is oriented that way. During the implementation, you could say that we have a standard process, but it's like a standard way of approaching the project, but it's not that we always do the same. We are like now moving forward to understand the actual pain of the SMB. Usually as an SMB, it's not like they want to change all their company and to include a lot of modules and stuff. They usually have like 4 or 5 pains that they need to solve during the implementation. So the worst road that you could take is to try to explain how Odoo works from point to back. They don't want that. They maybe they're having maybe stock problems, or maybe they are having financial problems in planning, or they are having problems with I know, inventory, whatever. So you need to understand the pain. You need to guide your client. You need to set short-term goals. You cannot, maybe you have 3 months in order to go live, right? So you don't have time to waste. So you need to go to the value, and the value is deeply related with the pain. They will understand that you give them value if you cure the pain that they have. I always use the example, it's like going to the doctor and the doctor explaining to you how your knee works. No, you want to tell him, okay, my knee hurts, help me so it doesn't hurt, right? Don't explain me how the knee works, I don't care. And the last part, but not least, is support. We try to minimize phone communications. We try to define our scope in a very strict way. You don't want you don't want to make the mistake to mix consultancy with support. They are different things. And when customers are not willing to pay you hours, okay, 100 hours this month, I'm going to pay it, you need to be really strict about support, because otherwise you will drain your resources and you're not going to be able to implement, right? So, like explaining the different parts. Marketing, of course we use a lot of digital marketing campaigns. We use AdWords, we use mailing, but we are now implementing a lot of cold calls and emails. This is very recent, because we need to increase you need to increase your conversion rate. That's a key point. And to increase your conversion rate, you need to go to the companies that you are pretty sure that you can help, right? You will have different customers that are good reference for them to trust you. You will understand their business and their travels and whatever. So the effort is going to be less. The same example, when you go to a medic, you want a medic that works with your kind of pains. You don't want to go to a stomach medic to help you with your knee, right? So the customer understands that, and when they understand that you speak the same language that them, they trust you, and they say, okay, maybe you can provide value. Let's move on. And this is a game of moving on, right? So every step needs to be efficient and effective, right? Odoo is growing, so leads are growing, so build up your reputation. This is a good thing, but I always say that the market is huge, because we are not selling, or in my opinion, we are not selling Odoo, we are trying to solve problems to customers, right? So our customers are not only the ones that are looking for Odoo. There are people that have problems. Maybe they work with SAP, maybe we work with Excel, maybe they never heard of Odoo, right? But even though Odoo is growing really fast, so build up your reputation, make you in a better position. This was all. I wouldn't include it if I made. Look for your perfect match. Do not wait for them to come. This is the same, right? Look for your girlfriend in the crowd or your boyfriend in the crowd. And the last phrase: get them fast and cheap. Toss them even faster, right? The worst thing that you could do is to stick with a prospect, like to try to, oh, okay, it could work, because you won't have time, right? You need to make it fast, and if it's a no, it's better to be wrong in a no than to move forward, and then you may end up with a project that you cannot conclude or that it's not good for you. It will drain your resources, it will mean meetings and complaints and whatever, and that's a bad thing. Now in the sales part, what I said before, give importance to the demo. You are learning more than the client. I don't know if more, but you're learning a lot. Manage your expectations. When you're working with SMBs, it's not a buffet. They cannot ask whatever they want, and you will dedicate hours in order to solve it. So you need to manage expectations, and you need to be clear about what you are going to give them, right? Of course, they don't care if you give them less of what they want, they are not going to move forward. That's the important about finding value, and the expectation needs to match the value that they need so that you can sell, right? Transparent approach. We are very transparent. We tell them everything. You need them to trust you, so because in the end it's not a short-term relation, it's a long-term relation, so you need to trust them. It's the same as with a big company, but you have less time, so it's more difficult. You cannot like have a coffee and go there and stuff. You need to do it in a small amount of time. The right fit, we already said that. Learn to say no. I don't know if you read it, but Getting Real, it's a great book. It's written by the guys from Basecamp. That's a great book to read. It's very important to understand what they need and to say, okay, maybe you want this, but you're not going to be able to afford it, or if you pay this and you take time with this, we are not going to be able to. It's cost of opportunity. It's very important for them to understand it, because otherwise they are going to say, okay, I want everything and I want to pay not that much money, so it's more to say no. And simplify and standardize your pricing. This is very important. The guys usually that are working with SMBs, they don't have open budgets, so they cannot like, okay, this month is this amount of hours, no, they want to know how much it's going to cost, right? It's difficult, it's not very easy to plan how many hours it's going to take a project, but you can do a pretty good job after you've been in quite a few iterations. You can be wrong and to give some hours free if you made a huge mistake, so there's always a way to make it work. But what I always say is about the sales department is like that. We are finding the girlfriend and boyfriend in the crowd, so the sales department, it's part of the operations department for me, at least in my opinion. Going to implementation. Our goal is to understand and attack the pain. That's the main rule. So when the customer gets in, the first thing that we need to understand is, what is your pain? Why are you here? If he didn't have a pain, he wouldn't be analyzing to implement an ERP. It's a pain to implement an ERP. It takes time, it takes money. So surely there's a reason why he's doing it. Let's understand it and let's attack it. As fast as we can. We need to use the fewest amount of hours possible, right? Because he doesn't have a lot of money, right? And not just because of that, because if we use fewer hours, we have more hours to do more things in our company. So it's always good to be more efficient. This is a thing that we use. We use one project leader that is guided by one project manager. So you'll have a project leader that is doing all the hard work, the meetings, the talks, and whatever. He may be a junior, he may be a semi-senior, but you will have a project manager that is meeting with 5 different project leaders one time a week and trying to deal with the blocking points and to orient their implementation. So you make a better use of the senior people, right? They are guiding, and you don't have a senior people talking about what the client did in the weekend. Maybe they start talking about that. You don't want the senior people be dealing with that situation, right? Maybe the senior guy enjoys it, but we need them for different tasks, right? Usually they take like 10, 14 weeks top, with 1 or 2 meetings per week. We have standard procedures and product. You want to standardize your product. The word standardized, it's a bit dangerous because you may think that it's a standard product. It's not a standard product, but you will use different parameters and you will configure different things. But we will try to develop as less as possible. That's why we use a lot of OCA modules, but we try to minimize the customizations, and we charge them in the recurring subscription, and we are bad on it. Also, we don't want them to go that way. We want them to try to work with us, to work in a different solution in order to avoid that. So yesterday they were talking about the money that Odoo charges for personalized modules and stuff. I think they do it because of that. They want to discourage people to use that because it may not be sustainable. So that's why we do it. We upgrade all databases like in a 2 years row. Sometimes we skip a version, but it's very important to be in 1 version or 2 versions, because otherwise you'll end up having a lot of versions and you're not going to be effective in implementing. And the key is sales process starts the implementation by deciding the proper fit. You may all heard about the stories. No, the sales department sold that, and they don't care if we can implement it or not. They need to work together because they are a team, right? It's just that the first part of the implementation is the sales department. I'm trying to like reivindicate the sales department. I think it has bad reputation. Looking for volume, be efficient, be effective. This also applies for a big company, but it applies for SMBs. And support, what I said before, we have 1 support leader, but we have a first level to classify and a second level to solve. Like we have a guy that it's like picking up the phone or reading the ticket in order to understand what is the problem. Their task is not to solve it. They don't have to solve it. They need to understand and get a good record about the problem that they are having. Sometimes they record a mid-session in order to have a video. They write it wherever, but the objective of that is to give the ball to the second level that maybe has more experience in order to solve it, but with a clear situation about the problem that is happening, right? It's very common that there's like a lot of going past and forward with the ticket because it's not clear the actual problem that is happening. So that's why we do it that way. It's important to say that, as I said in the last bullet, you need to separate help desk from consultants. They are not the same, right? And we have consultants hours that we charge for them, and you can have a meeting and you can discuss wherever you want, your weekend activities or whatever. It's not help desk. Help desk is trying to deal with an important issue that is happening right now and needs to be solved, right? And they cannot do anything. It's not that like help desk can implement a new module for you. They won't do it. You need to have a clear scope about what they can do and what they cannot do. They can solve you a problem if you are not being able to invoice, right? And that's the problem for you, that it's urgent. But if you need to analyze your maintenance process, you need to go to consultancy. They are 2 separate processes. And that's what it says at the end. Not everything has to be solved by the support team. So in one time, you need to say, okay, you need to go this way. It's more expensive, of course, but that's the way I can help you, right? And this is important. Summary. If you want to work with SMBs, you won't have a lot of resources in order to be able to implement. So you need to define your processes and be strict following them, and of course improving them in time. You need to look for companies that you can add value to. You need to find your right fit. You have to learn to say no. It's difficult, but once you get used to it, it's kind of fun. Sales starts the implementation, so that's an important part. Supporting and implementing are and need to be different areas. And the last thing, get real. If you haven't read that book, I really recommend it. It's like, it applies for development, for consultancy, for sales, for whatever. So that's it. Okay. Yeah, Jordi.
Thank you very much for the talk. It was very interesting.
Okay. Thank you.
How do you address in my experience, the migration is the most painful part. And how do you overcome all the complexities that are associated with the fact that, well, in the end you end up with a lot of OCA modules standardized, but anyways, it's a complex setup.
Right.
And every company has different data and potential problems. So this is, as I understand, this can destroy all your strategy because suddenly you are faced with migration that takes 100% of the time that you plan.
Right, right. Well, very good question, because it's one of the main problems that we have with this model. We are not like in a continuous process right now in migration, so we have a lot of databases that are in 13 and we are moving forward now to 16, so we are always struggling with that. Working with a lot of modules of OCA and minor personalizations makes the migration easier. Usually we have more problems in the customer getting used to the new way of working with the new version than the struggle of the actual migration. We have made a standardized process in the migration, so we use API in order to move the databases. We run scripts that are automatically. We have improved a lot in that process, but usually the problem is that give me a consultant in order to help me to understand how to do this, that it used to be this way. And we are not providing ours for that because our subscription rates include the migration, so they don't need to pay for the migration. So that's the difficult part. We offer like successful packs in order to have like 5-10 hours in order to cope with the situation. But the real answer is it's a problem for us, and we are still struggling with it and improving it. Yep.
Does that mean for this model, customer report or potential customer, we already have like heavily customized Odoo installation? Probably no.
Yeah, we don't take customers that are already working with Odoo. We don't take new databases, old databases. Because of this, we don't know how they work. We don't know how we are going to export it. And usually you can do that with a senior. They even struggle being senior with old databases. So we start from scratch. If they have an old implementation, maybe we use that implementation in order to take the data, to move it, and it's easier than if they were in another software. But we don't take old implementations. Yeah.
With Sales Navigator,
Yeah.
it's a lot to do, it has a lot to do with connections. So
Yeah.
Then you are faced with the need, if you want to effectively connect with another company, this company has to, what I face, there's a lot of rejection if the salesperson is not someone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The other person can trust.
Right.
But you don't want to be with the senior.
Right.
Consultants
Of
on
course.
the job, right?
Of course.
How do you deal with this?
Of course. We have been working with Sales Navigator for like 4 months, so we are not experts. Eduardo knows a lot more than that than me, so you can talk with him later. But it's all about statistics, right? When a lot of people talk about sales, about oh, you're luck or you're not being luck. For me, it's statistics, right? You have a conversion rate, and you'll have like a funnel that in the first phase you may make 100 cold calls, and you will end up having 20 people that answer the phone. So you need to make 100. You'll find a list of 100 contacts in Sales Navigator. You will call them or send emails, and you may get an answer in 20 of them. Then you move to the second phase, and maybe to them, 10 of them get like to a different phase, that is a presentation. And then you may include the senior people to do it, right? So of course, you will get a better conversion rate if you include the senior person in the first phase, but it's going to be very expensive, so you're not going to be able to do it. So for me, it's statistics. It's a funnel. It has different percentage, and you need to improve the percentages. And with your percentages, you need to define the actual number that you need in each phase in order to get to the conversion rate that is your sales objective, right? No more questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.